Folks, American consumers are breaking. Spending is slowing down. Debt is exploding. Savings are slowly being depleted for a lot of people. And the cracks are finally starting to show in the real economy. And when the consumer breaks, the entire U.S. economy starts to crack. Now, let me show you what's happening right now and what you should be doing in the middle of all of this. We have to establish this up front. The consumer is the U.S. economy. Okay. Most people don't really realize how the American economy really works. It's not the stock market, it's not Wall Street, and it's really not even the Federal Reserve. The real engine of this country is regular people spending regular money. Okay, 70% of our entire GDP comes from everyday consumers like you and me. This machine called American and the American economy requires you and me to spend money. So if the average family slows down their spending, if people start to buy less stuff and households begin to pull back their spending, even just a little bit, this whole system will slow down. And here's something else that's very important. Even President Trump's recent economic tone has been focused on tougher trade and tougher imports, which really, guys, adds more pressure at a time when consumers can't really handle higher prices. So sometimes we look at big business like big business controls everything. Listen, if the consumer breaks, America breaks. And right now, the stress is on the average American. It's becoming too much to sort of hide behind. So let's talk about holiday spending because we are in the holidays right now. Let me explain what's happening as we speak with holiday spending because it sort of can be confusing. And it's one of the biggest clues that the consumer is in trouble right now. Now, you've probably seen the headlines saying, oh, holiday spending hits all-time highs. But here's the truth behind those numbers. People are not buying more stuff, okay? People are not shopping with confidence all of a sudden and have a lot of money to spend. No, the only reason holiday spending looks high right now is because everything costs more. And so people are using more debt than ever to cover that cost. And let me break this down really clear, okay? Prices are higher. A toy that cost $20 2 years ago is $30 today. Some meat at your grocery store, your local grocer, that cost $80 for the holidays is now $110 for the holidays. So yes, people are actually spending more dollars, but they're getting less for that dollar that they're spending, right? Also, the population is bigger now than it has been. More people buying automatically pushes the total number bought up, right? It doesn't mean the consumer's strong. It just means there are more consumers buying right now. Also, don't forget this. People are using more credit today than ever before, right? And this is the big one. Credit cards, buy now, pay later, in-store financing, deferred payments. Look, when you see record spending, that doesn't mean Americans are thriving. It means Americans are borrowing. The real metrics, they tell a different story. So while the total dollars look big, here's what's really happening in stores this holiday season. There's fewer items per shopper being bought. There's more window shopping, right? There's more abandoned carts online, right? People waiting for deeper and deeper discounts, waiting to the last minute, lower discretionary spending. Holiday essentials are now replacing some of those what used to be fun purchases years ago. Retailers are now seeing weaker traffic overall because consumers are clearly being stretched thin. Okay, the headlines are going to brag about record spending, but the real story is record financial stress. Now, this is the most important point I want you to get. Americans are spending more money simply because everything is more expensive. So when you look at the raw numbers, they don't tell you that on the news or on social media, right? You got to make sure you understand that, though. It's not because we have more money. We don't. And at the same time, President Trump is signaling to the world tougher trade policies and new upcoming tariffs, perhaps, right? Which could ultimately raise prices even more at exactly the moment when consumers and shoppers are already struggling. Okay, so this is not what you would think would be healthy holiday spending right now. This is really a warning sign. This is the early stage of the consumer breaking. Now, let's talk debt for a second. Debt has exploded. Let me take a moment out to dig into debt because so that you can really see what's really going on, not the headlines, right? Not the fluff, but what's really happening. Debt is rising like we have not seen in years or maybe never. Credit card balances are at all-time highs in America. Auto loan defaults are climbing, right? They're getting close to all-time highs as well if they're not there yet. And personal loans are being used to sort of fill these budget gaps, right? Personal loans are not really being used by most people to upgrade their lifestyle. They're being used to fill these gaps. Most people are not using debt to get ahead. They're using debt to sort of keep their head above water. You know, like the old theme song from the show Good Times, right? Keeping your head above water, making a way when you can, temporary layoffs, good, not good times, right? When your household is leaning on debt just to survive, any new pressure, including Trump signaling to the world that there's going to be tougher economic policies, all that becomes just one more hit that really the average American right now can't really absorb. Now, this is what happens when income stays right here, right, the same, while every other part of life gets more expensive. This ends up happening. And I didn't even mention savings, right? Savings accounts. Savings for a lot of people right now are gone, right? All of that pandemic cushion money, extra money we got, that's all gone, right? Most households, they don't even have a few $100s set aside. One emergency, like a broken appliance, right? A couple of flat tires, a medical bill. And a lot of people are going to be pushed just right back into more debt. Savings are the safety net for the economy for a lot of people. And right now, Americans, they don't have a lot of safety net except to do what? The safety net is to go borrow more money or put it on a credit card, right? Guys, it's an epidemic at this point. So when you mix all this together, low savings rate with rising cost and Trump's tougher trade tone, it creates a dangerous environment where the weakest households in America get hit first and they get hit the hardest. This is a flashing red light for the economy right now. Now, I'm giving you real life stuff here, but I don't want you to get discouraged because there are some things that you can do, and I'm going to get to those in a bit. But I think we need to be honest, and I mean, people feel it everywhere. We're talking car insurance is up 20 to 40%. Utilities, just to heat your home, is rising, right? Groceries, obviously, still elevated. Rent has been elevated for several years now. Medical costs keep climbing and going up. And property insurance in some states, I know the state I live in, out of control. And when Trump talks about these tariffs or tightening trade, all that's going to do is trigger higher prices on imported goods, which is the last thing we need as consumers right now. Now, there's pros and cons to tariffs. We know that. But if from a consumer standpoint, it's not something a lot of people can handle right now. Now, I haven't even mentioned jobs, but we have to realize that companies are cutting jobs quietly. Not huge layoffs. We've seen a few in the news, but not a lot of huge ones. They're reducing hours. They're ending some of the overtime, freezing some hiring, cutting some contractors, pushing some people to early retirement like we've seen with the federal government, right? These buyouts and cutting costs through cutting jobs, right? Pushing employees out, performance reviews, all those things are happening, right? These are cuts that don't really show up in the jobs report, right? They don't really show up in the unemployment rate, not yet, but they show up in people's paychecks, everyday people's paychecks and consumers' paychecks. And here's the deal. When people earn less money while everything costs more, spending is just going to slow down even further. Now, I'm giving you this information probably 3 or 4 or 5 months ahead of time. But listen, it's all coming to a boiling point right now. You'll see it's just all under the radar right now and not being reported on the news or in social media the way it probably should be. Guys, quick pause right here. If you're new to this channel, I'm here on Sundays, and that's when I break down the economy, the American economy, in simple, plain language, real world language, so you can sort of stay ahead and understand this thing on a macro level, but also understand how it affects your own four walls. Because my goal is to help you protect your money and make smart decisions with your money. And sometimes you got to know what's taking place in the larger economy around you. That way you can make better decisions with your own money. And that's the key. So thank you so much for being here. Now let's keep going. Look, slowdowns don't begin with a crash. We got to realize that. They begin with small cracks in the system, weak spending, rising debt, disappearing savings, cost pressures, and job cuts ultimately, right? Then people or consumers, that's when we start to pull back our spending. And that's when businesses end up making less money. It's all like a domino effect, guys. Companies end up cutting jobs. People then pull back even more, right? And consumer confidence drops. That's a big one. And this cycle just repeats itself over and over. Right now, we are in the early stages of that loop. that part before the headlines catch up. You're feeling it in your wallet and in your pocketbook, but the headlines ain't really saying it. Well, they'll be saying it soon, right? So here's what happens next. If the consumer spending continues to weaken, ultimately, retail sales are going to fall. Corporate earnings are going to start missing expectations more and more. Companies are going to begin public layoffs. GDP is going to slow down. The medias will start using, like they were a few years back, using the word recession. You'll hear that word a lot. And the pressure is going to build on the Federal Reserve to act to make money cheaper to borrow, lowering the Fed funds rate. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow or next month, but I'm saying it could happen soon. Okay. Things always look fine before they suddenly don't, right? Now, we may see a push of growth in the economy in the beginning of the next year. That remains to be seen. Now, a lot is riding on what the Fed is going to do with interest rates coming up. Now, here's what you should do. What you should be doing right now as a consumer and an investor in America, right? Here's how to protect yourself. Please, whatever you do, build up some cash. Even small amounts of cash can add up. Also, please trim your spending. You don't have to feel responsible for keeping this economic machine running, right? And well-oiled, right? Remember, as a consumer, you are extremely important, but you can pull out of the system in terms of how you manage your day-to-day money, spending less money, taking care of your own four walls before you even worry about the American economy, right? So cut expenses if and where you can. And also this, please avoid any new bad debt. Now is just not the time. When I say bad debt, I mean debt on anything that's not increasing in value. If you're going to buy a home that you think is going to appreciate in the next 5-10 years in value, that's cool. But if you're trying to go get a $30,000 loan to get a $35,000 car, that's bad debt because cars go down in value most times, right? Now's just not the time to be loading up with a bunch of bad debt. Please protect your income also. Add a stream or two or three of income, if possible. It's very important, guys, that you stop relying just on one job. Those days are coming to an end if you want to get ahead moving forward, right? And please do yourself a favor and keep investing consistently. Don't panic. Stay disciplined. Dollar cost averaging is your friend, okay? Don't try to time the market, get in and get out and panic and all. No. Dollar cost average. Put a certain set amount of your money towards the stock market, ETFs, index funds, whatever you buy on a regular basis, right? And just keep doing that. Delay any big upgrades in terms of what you're trying to buy. Protect your flexibility. That's why I say have cash, right? Smart money prepares early. While everybody else is reacting too late and panicking, if you prepare now, you'll be better off. When things are fine is when you need to prepare for when things are not fine. And when things are not fine, you need to be patient because ultimately things will come back around. But listen, you want to get ready early. That's all I'm saying. Now listen, guys, when Americans run out of money, the economy suffers. The signs are all here. Weaker spending, exploding debt, fewer and fewer savings, right? Higher cost on almost everything, and hidden layoffs. The consumer is slowly breaking and cracking behind closed doors. And if nothing changes, the crash is coming next. Guys, the point in this video is to just make you aware of what is happening around you in the American economy and give you some things to think about and do some practical things that you can do right now to get yourself ready. Listen, if you want more simple, no fluff ways to manage your money the right way, grab my new book, Manage Your Way to Millions. It's available on Amazon. The link is in the description box below. Look, I hope this video was helpful. If it was helpful, do me a favor and please share the video with your network of people and drop a comment below letting me know that you got value. Listen, I want to hear from you. The absolute best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Until the next video, peace.